Hello and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and I am joined today by a man that I just call Ishmael. You can call him Mike Roth.
Yes, most people do.
Yeah?
Yeah. I have nothing to say about Ishmael. Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
No one calls me Ishmael anymore.
Anymore?
No.
Man.
Ever since my birth certificate.
People just take these things way out of control. All right. This week we have a couple of movies on the marquee, Michael. The first one I'm going to jump out with is a smaller movie, a little indie movie called Brooklyn, from director John Crowley. It stars Saoirse Ronan as an Irish girl named Ellis, and she is moving to America. This is set in 1950s.
Okay.
She is moving from Ireland to America, to Brooklyn specifically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she doesn't know anybody. She's going to make a fresh start in the United States. And she is living at this border house with a bunch of other girls, working at a department store, lonely, homesick, sad. She meets this Italian guy named Tony. She and Tony kind of hit it off. Mm-hmm. He's really sweet. He kind of gets her to open up a little bit, shows her the world a little bit. There's a tragedy back home with her family, and she has to return home back to Ireland. She goes back home to Ireland, and suddenly one of the most available bachelors has an eye for her.
The most available one in Ireland?
Well, yeah. Well, like
Wow.
the guy who's got the large estate left to him, and suddenly he's taken a shine to her because she's a world traveler now. You know, she's not just the shy, mousy girl. She's back. She's been to America. Her eyes have been opened, and he starts courting her. And I mean, kind of fast forwarding through, she has to kind of make a decision.
Yeah.
Do I stay back in Ireland now with this guy who's got everything, and do I follow the expectations of what everyone says I should do? Do I follow my heart and go back to America? Tony's waiting for me. Tony's completely different. He's an Italian guy. This is 1950s. Italians and Irish don't exactly mix. And it's a really interesting movie. Saoirse Ronan she just lights up the screen. She is so her chemistry with Tony is really sweet. It's a romantic movie. And it's more than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be a sappy romance movie from the trailers. And it was a sappy romance movie, but I found myself really being drawn in by the characters. So she's in this boarding house with basically a bunch of other women who are there, most of them Irish as well. There's like the lady who runs the place. She's really funny. They keep cutting to these dinners that they have where they sit around and she doesn't take any guff from these girls. It's a lot of comedy in there, but what I liked is they didn't build like a fake antagonist. Like one of the girls wasn't like the mean sister, or there was no bad guy, quote unquote, in the movie.
So the guy from Ireland is
He was
a nice
a good
too?
guy.
Okay.
That's the thing is either one of them you're like, these are both good guys. It's not like one of them was a jerk.
See, a lot of movies still make sure everybody roots usually for the underdog.
Right.
This way you have...
The thing is that you liked everybody. At least I liked everybody in the story. And so the decision is even harder because you're right there with her going, I don't know. I mean, you got Tony, and then you got Jim.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just like Twilight.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, right. It's just, the thing I really enjoyed about it, though, is it felt authentic. Both to the time period, it felt like a 1950s movie. Everything, the dress, it looked beautiful. The cinematography is beautiful, especially in Ireland and everything. But it felt good, and it had a lot of heart to it. And I really just enjoyed Saoirse Ronan, who's been in a lot of smaller roles. And this one, I really thought she was great. In a movie that didn't really have any drama to it other than the love story. It was just a good story about watching somebody grow, watching somebody have to decide, do I go with the expectations you want me to do, or do I follow my heart? And I'm not going to tell you how it turns out. But I highly recommend seeing Brooklyn. I gave it 4.5 stars. I thought it was really, really excellent. And another Another one of these smaller independent movies that unfortunately are in a really small release that need to be seen.
You get a lot of this around this time of year.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, you have to travel in order to see these things. I'd love to see them at the theater that I usually go to. But
maybe. But what do you have next on the marquee, sir?
We have the other big movie. This is a major release that came out last weekend. It was Heart of the Sea by Ron Howard, by the book In the Heart of the Sea by Nathaniel Philbrick.
Okay.
Great book, by the way. But we are talking about the movie. Chris Hemsworth is starring in the role of, he plays the second in command, the Owen Chase.
Right.
They are, the year is 1820, and this has been kind of promoted as the true events that led Herman Melville to write the story.
The story that inspired the book.
Which they really hit heavily on this when you watch the movie. But this is a whale boat coming out of Nantucket, sorry.
Sure.
And usually when they're out, they're gone for a year, maybe two. They come across all the events that you would expect from a ship built in 1820s.
Yeah.
They come up against a whale. Even though these ships look massive on screen when you actually are on one of these boats, they're very small.
Yeah, it's cramped quarters.
It's very cramped for the amount of crew that you have. Yeah. And when you're going after whales, and they show this in the movie, the whale is sometimes bigger than the boat you are working with. This is a tragic story about pretty much this whale.
The white whale.
The white whale beating up on these crew members.
Right.
And then we also have the side story, which isn't huge, of Herman Melville sitting down with one of the last surviving members of that crew to get the story,
AKA
to inspire
Ishmael.
him. Yeah, in order to get his book.
Right.
I read the book, and the book is fantastic. I was expecting to go see this movie and get kind of a Lost, in the movie Lost, and a little bit of I could have seen a couple of good movies in this.
Okay.
But it really didn't deliver. I thought it was good. I liked the history. I liked the boats. I liked how there was a lot of action. Yeah. But I don't think it really got to a rock star status at all.
Let me ask you, because my biggest issue with this movie was that it didn't feel big. There wasn't the grandness of they're on this adventure and they're going off the map into uncharted country, basically. And it never felt like the stakes were big enough. You didn't see really where they were other than them kind of pointing to it on a map. And then we're out here in the middle of nowhere. And it just felt like so much of the movie that they are so far away from civilization. And the majority of the movie just didn't give me that feel of like the grand stage of it all.
And I would put all the blame, unfortunately, on the director. Ron Howard is a great director.
He just didn't deliver that.
In this case, in the book, one of the huge things that they always wanted to hit was, the whale's big, but the ship is small. You are out there forever on this thing that's housing like 20, 30 people. Mm-hmm. When there's a scene of them actually catching a whale, they didn't die right away. They did have
that
some
was
success.
Hard to watch too. It's hard to watch the whaling, man.
It is
2015. It's hard to watch.
It is tough, but in the book, it shows it kind of describes of the boat kind of transforming, where people actually have to work over the whale. The main ship is for the rendering of the oil. And everybody else is just like
go
way
inside
out.
the whale's head.
That was tough.
Wow.
But if Ron Howard gave it a little more scope to remind you, hey, it's not just about a big whale. It's about a small ship. It's about the relationships people have when they are out on sea for long periods of time. It is what you have to go through when you have no hope of ever getting back. There's in the book, the cannibalism scene was huge. In the movie, it was kind of downplayed a little bit. I mean, it was shown, but it was downplayed.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked the character. I thought Chris Hemsworth was good as Owen Chase. Mm-hmm. He was believable.
Yeah.
I really liked Cillian Murphy as his number 2, Mr. Joy. Mm-hmm. I thought he was good. And I really liked the back and forth with Ben Whishaw and Brendan Gleeson as Melville and I liked their little back and forth. You could feel the tension and the hesitation in their interview, but so much of it, just the scale of it felt small, and the CGI was rough.
Yeah,
the CGI was not spectacular.
And
And if you're doing a movie about the biggest whale,
yeah,
give me something.
And that was the other thing. I could have seen them doing a little of Jaws thing. If they took back, they just said, okay, we all know that there's this whale out here. Let's not see it that much.
Yeah.
That would have done a lot. That would have gave you
But
that
he went in
creepiness that
between.
you got from
He
Jaws.
went in between. He showed you some, but it wasn't. It didn't. I don't know.
He
There was
showed
something
you too much.
He showed me too much for what he could do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so it showed the flaws.
Yeah.
And that was kind of frustrating. I loved seeing the day-to-day operations of the boat. I love that. I'm a sucker for those kinds of movies. Just seeing the day-to-day of being on one of these ships.
And there was a couple of shots that they made of the boat that I thought were really good. That reminded you that this is actually a pretty dangerous job, just being on this boat. But they're too far and too few in between. It kind of lost the punch that it should have had throughout the whole movie.
This should have been an amazing story.
It really should have
been. And it just didn't feel desperate enough to me. Yeah. It just, I don't know. I knew that there should have been more there, and it just felt like there was so much left on the page.
There should have been a lot less of the getting to know Herman Melville.
Yeah.
I thought some of the reveals in that one were pretty cheap. Some other scenes, like when Chris Helmsworth is sad after killing the first whale. Yeah, that's great for your audience in this current time, but that's not really true to the fact back then. Back then, it was about, getting oil. Yeah. Just like it is today. Yeah.
Let's get it done. Let's get back home.
Yep.
Yeah, it felt too bad because I love these getting to the edge of the world. How are we going to get back? And it's just like, I want to feel that with you. I want to feel the desperation, but I just don't.
And Ron Howard should have done more to make sure.
This is out of his wheelhouse, though. This is not a Ron Howard style.
Well, he's done movies like Apollo 13.
Right.
Which, that was a great movie.
But you don't have to show a huge scale of the ocean. Yes, you have space, but you look out the window and all you see is space. To show a grandness of the ocean being thousands of miles from anywhere, he kind of dropped the ball.
I think he just understood space more than he does ocean. Because in Apollo 13, I did feel that vastness
That's an
of
excellent
space.
movie.
You cannot get back home. Right. How are you going to get back home? You are in a ship that probably shouldn't make it back home.
But he did a good job of showing that.
He did.
In this one,
he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't concentrate enough on the close confined spaces that he should have, and the amount of people that had to share this, and the lack of resources in order to survive.
That was another one that was barely touched on for a second, and then it's gone. And yeah. Well, ultimately, I guess I'll go first. I gave it 3 stars.
Yep. I thought it was good. It should have been a lot better. I think a lot of people bagged this because they might have read the book, which was a fantastic book. And then they're let down when they see the movie. A lot of people get that
I don't think it was a bad movie. We say our flaws with it. I thought it was a decent movie.
Yeah, there is action.
Yeah.
And the crew members, the cast members, they went through some hell in order to look the part that they've been through. 500-calorie diets for months. It's like, real life.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy looked crazy at the end.
Yeah. Oof. You take a picture of Thor with Owen Chase and...
So this kind of leads us, since we have the 2 movies, this kind of decided we chose to lead into a little list. We like to do some top 5 lists from time to time, and so this week we decided to discuss our favorite sea adventure movies. It's kind of a grand scheme, but
a nautical theme.
Genre, I guess. Yes. But we both have a lot of them that we love. And so we decided to count down our top 5 favorite sea adventure movies. And Mike, I'm going to let you start it off.
I know you're going to cheat. I know it already.
I'm a cheater all the way.
I just want to have an honorable mention. It's not a movie, but you know how I was talking about the close encounters of and confined and having a small ship that doesn't feel like it would be seaworthy today? Check out the first season of Vikings. Really, they do an excellent job in showing what it was like for the early Anglo-Saxons to take these long voyages and something that we would consider very dangerous. But honorable mention, not a movie.
Okay.
Just check it out.
Number 5 for you,
number 5, Ghost Ship.
All right.
Say what you will, but these are my personal favorites. Ghost Ship came out in 2002, directed by Steve Beck. He also did the visual effects for ILM.
Yep.
Did Hunt for Red October and stuff like that. Well, he directed this movie. It's a horror movie about a salvage ship going out to find this haunted old cruise ship. It's been out at sea forever.
It is a ghost ship?
It is a ghost ship. You can only find it every once in a while. If you find it, you're dead.
Oh, man, I thought there was going to be booty on it.
No, the catch line is see evil.
Oh, boy.
Tell you what, for a horror film, this had some great little special effects. I was really enthralled with the Mudvayne song that starts off in the beginning. Yeah, it's one of my favorite boat ships. I'm surprised people don't talk about this more often. It's a great movie,
to each
according to me.
There you go. That's all that matters. This is totally subjective. Favorite, not best. That's what we're saying. Favorite.
Yes, favorites, not best. Don't call me up and say, what about? Because they ain't going to work.
My honorable mention is a movie called All Is Lost that just came out, I think, in 2014. Robert Redford as just the man. That's his name. And it's just him on a boat by himself. He doesn't talk. The boat is torn apart. He has to face trying to stay alive in this boat that is crippled in a storm. He's out there by himself, and there's no dialogue. It's just him, and it's really enjoyable. And it's one of those films that you feel the scope of, oh, this guy's in serious trouble.
Yeah.
He is in big time trouble. But that is my honorable mention, an enjoyable movie. But my number 5 is Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World, starring Russell Crowe and Paul Bettany. I love this genre and this kind of time period of movies, and it'll be reflected on my list. But these older movies, when you're on the big galleon ships and you're sailing the world, you're exploring, you have pirates, you're just circumventing the globe on the ship. And this movie, I think, does a great job of showing those close quarters in the boat that you were talking about earlier. I think they do a great job. I think Russell Crowe and Paul Bettany, their camaraderie in this movie really makes the movie stronger than what it could have been. I think they do a great job as two old friends in tough circumstances, and you get a lot of great boating warfare, naval warfare with these old ships and sailing psychology, I guess.
Yeah.
I just really enjoy it. Great movie. So that's my number 5. So you're number 4.
My number 4, it's actually a very popular movie, African Queen, by John Hudson, also known for Maltese Falcon. This stars pretty much just two people, Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn, she needs to go down the river. She had a little tragedy, and the only person who really could do it is the local drunk and river captain.
Gotta get you past the Nazis.
Humphrey Bogart takes her on the African Queen riverboat, and it's man versus nature. It's also was set in 1941, so it's the beginning of the war. The Nazis are becoming a problem. It was fun, and to watch Katharine Hepburn, who is this prudish, very stoic, proper woman, and then you have Humphrey Bogart, who is just hey, I'll drink that, and I'm going to make a total jerk out of myself kind of guy, and it becomes a romance. I didn't do it for the romance. I did it for the whole movie. It's funny. It's cool. Watching them get into all these little snafus, and then, of course, the end is explosive.
It's an excellent choice, Mike. I love The African Queen. That is an excellent choice.
It's a good movie. If you have to get your bogey fix, really check this out.
It's a good one. My number 4 is a James Cameron movie, one of my favorite James Cameron movies. It is The Abyss, starring Ed Harris, Mary Elizabeth Mastriano, and Michael Beale, among others, this whole cast. It's a crew that has to go down and try and find this ship. And as they go deeper and deeper and deeper into the sea, into the abyss, they discover something down there. They're not alone down there. And I think that this is this is probably one of his best complete movies for me, as far as his visual effects and storytelling combined, and just a sense of claustrophobia that kind of starts to overwhelm you the deeper they go in. And I think it's great. And the cast and crew, they're in tight quarters. It does get claustrophobic, and I really enjoy that movie. And it holds up. Rewatching it this week, I I was surprised how well it held up.
I do like how they describe like what it's like when you get that deep
Yeah.
down in there.
I love Ed Harris in this movie too. Great movie. So The Abyss is my number 4. Your number 3.
My number 3. It's a hugely known movie called Waterworld.
Oh, yeah.
Back in 1995, Kevin Reynolds made one of the hugest financial flops of that decade.
Yep.
It stars Kevin Costner, and it's set in the future where the polar ice caps have melted, and it's really hard to find land anywhere. Kevin Costner, he has a mutation, and it allows him to go under the water and salvage stuff.
He got gills.
He's got gills. Overall, I really liked it. I feel bad that it flopped. You'll never see a Waterworld 2 or a Waterworld reboot. A lot of the financial disaster was because their set was totally on an ocean, and the ocean is unforgiving, and their set went down a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then to come out with something that just didn't get great reviews, it didn't make the money.
Big time loss.
You know what? If they had me back in 1995, I would have been like, hey, go out and see this. They need their money real bad.
It's never too late, Mike. 20 years isn't too late.
Yeah, go ahead. Start making it financially viable to make a Waterworld 2.
All right. My number 3 came out in 1954, starring Kirk Douglas and James Mason. The movie is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. This is one of the earliest kind of sea movies. I think it's the first submarine movie I can remember ever seeing as a young kid. And I thought Kirk Douglas was the coolest as he's dealing with Captain Nemo and the craziness and the now cheesy effects as they're fighting off the giant squid and
Back
all
then,
of these things.
It was top notch. It
Oh
really
man,
was.
I
That
was
squid is
blown
still pretty cool.
away
I
by
think
it.
so.
It's better than Popeye's squid. And
Yeah.
It came out 30 years before. I really, really enjoy this movie. And I didn't know who Kirk Douglas was when I first saw this, right? This is the first Kirk Douglas movie I probably ever saw. I'm like, that guy's a stud. He's a man's man. Getting it done. And I love this movie. I love the story. It holds up. I mean, Jules Verne's one of his great novels ever. And Disney realized it really well. So that is my number 3.
My number 2.
Do it.
James Cameron, again, but different movie. I put Titanic. It's a great mixture of what stereotypical men and stereotypical women like in a movie. You have your romance, your little love triangle, and you got the fanciness of the boat and the grandness, and then you got this whole history and huge boat and the gears going up and down and it's sinking and devastation and action. It's a great movie. It's a long movie. It swept the Oscars. It got Best Picture of Golden Globes too. It is a fantastic movie. I actually know a lot of people who just love Kate Winslet just because that was the first thing they saw her in.
All right.
You got Billy Zane, who I thought was great in Tales from the Crypt movies.
Sure.
And Leonardo da Vinci,
Or
DiCaprio, who really hasn't done much since.
Sure, yeah. You haven't heard from that guy.
No, but it's a fantastic movie. I'm sure you heard about it. It made almost like $1 trillion.
It made all the money that year.
Yeah, it made all the money. They should share with Waterworld so Waterworld can make a sequel.
Yeah. Titanic. All right.
Titanic.
My number 2 came out in 1951, and it is based off of one of my favorite book series from C.S. Forester, a series of books about Horatio Hornblower. And the movie that came out was Captain Horatio Hornblower, which was kind of an amalgamation of his first 3 books that he'd written about this Hornblower character who rose up through the ranks and became the captain of this ship. And it's just a great movie, represents my favorite time in this kind of naval seafarer like I was talking about earlier, starring Gregory Peck, who, I mean, is just incredible in this. You also have Virginia Mayo and Robert Beatty, and it's a great, beautiful-looking movie out on the ocean. Gregory Peck acting up a storm like he can do. And just a wonderful character as you see him dealing with an unruly crew and bad elements and just great seafaring movie. So Captain Horatio Hornblower is my number 2. Number 1, sir, let's handle this one together because there was no question when we did this what our number 1 was going to be.
We've actually done this one as a number 1 before, so no one who watches the show should be surprised.
We've discussed this movie before. Our co-number 1 is
Steven Spielberg's famous movie Jaws.
Jaws, yes, no doubt about it.
It's a great fish movie. And that's going to be our next 5. Brody, Sheriff Brody, he is trying to tell this New England town to not go into the water, close down the beaches, but it's tourism season and the mayor won't have it. Right. Craziness assumed, people die. So Brody and Quint, played by Robert Shaw, and so Mr. Hooper, who is not the Sesame Street character, played by Richard Dreyfuss.
The three of those guys together on the boat is what makes this movie incredible.
And really, the one thing that we said we didn't like about the Heart of the Sea is they didn't show the confinedness. This one, they did. They have a small boat. Everybody knows it's a small boat. You have nowhere to go.
They should have had a bigger boat.
They should have had a bigger boat.
I think one of them said that.
That's a tagline.
It's so good. It is a perfect movie.
Yeah.
It is so good. And Robert Shaw is just phenomenal in this movie.
It is my favorite horror movie. It is my favorite fish movie.
It's my favorite of a lot of things.
Yeah, it's in my top 5 movies of all time.
Yeah. Easily.
Yeah.
Excellent movie. So there was no question. When we talk about anything having to deal with the water, being on the ocean, whatever, monsters, anything, Jaws.
I love this movie so much. It's been a boyhood dream of mine for a long time to go to Universal Studios to see the Jaws. Yeah. And when I finally did it,
they didn't have it?
Well, no, they had it, but it was just horribly in disrepair because I had to wait 30 years of my life in order to see this thing.
Boo.
I know.
All right, that is our list of our favorite sea adventure films. Real quickly, let's take a look at what is coming ahead, sir. Coming soon. Let's start with December 21st. We have one movie coming out called The Big Short. The Big Short, which has an all-star cast. I'm talking about Christian Bale, Ryan Gosling, Brad Pitt, Steve Carell. These guys are they see the housing crisis coming. They are just financial analysts and such, and they see the writing on the wall that banks are over lending and this and that, and that the impending financial crisis is coming. They try and ring the alarm, and people don't want to hear it.
No.
And it looks like it's just an incredible acting performance movie.
It's kind of cool that this is like the second housing crash movie this year.
This and 99 Homes, yeah. So that's coming out December 21st. Christmas Day, that would be December 25th for you and I. We have 4 movies coming out that day.
Huge amount of big movies.
We do. So the first one is the remake that nobody asked for, Point Break.
All right.
Yeah, Point Break. I don't know why we need to remake Swayze movies. Stop remaking Swayze movies. He did them right.
Yeah.
Also that day, we have the newest movie from Jennifer Lawrence, Robert De Niro, Bradley Cooper, Joy.
Yeah.
That movie looks phenomenal. The third time that they have all hooked up together to make a movie, and the first 2 have been really successful with Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle. I really enjoy these movies. I'm really excited to see this. Third movie coming out Christmas Day is Daddy's Home with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg.
This looks like it could be funny.
It does, doesn't it?
I would assume they would have, like normal people would have waited a week so they could say funniest movie of the year. They love doing that. But there must be
I like these 2 together. I really like The Other Guys, where they played a buddy cop, a parody of a buddy cop movie. I'm open. It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, like I say, both of them are hit and miss for me.
Yeah.
But when they hit, it could be a good time.
There's not too many comedies out.
Yeah,
so
this is true.
That's where they're going to be strong.
The next one is definitely not a comedy.
No.
What looks like it's being advertised all over, and that is Concussion, starring Will Smith, among a host of others, about the concussions in sports, specifically the NFL. One doctor, played by Will Smith, who discovers the traumatic effects that concussions have and is fighting the NFL to make them admit it. It's ripped straight out of the headlines and still very current in what's going on in sports.
That's a tough battle.
It is, and it looks like it's pretty damning. But those are the movies coming out the week of Christmas. It's going to be a busy time at the theater. Excuse me. But before we go, we have to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, The Palace, here in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Thank you for sponsoring the show. We look forward to seeing all these movies in your beautiful dream loungers.
Including Star Wars
Including
tonight.
Star Wars, correct. If you want to find more from us, you can always find us on Facebook at Real Reviews TV. Search that, you'll find us there. Also on Twitter at Real Reviews TV will get you to where you need to be. You can find all that. You can find more of us from ksun.tv or on YouTube if you need to find some of us from YouTube. Search Real Reviews, KSUN. That'll get our channel.
it's harder not to find us.
I agree. That's a great statement, a great one to end on. So, until next week when we are talking about a little movie called Star Wars, among other things, my name is Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.